comes down to like what is a role? You're assigned a role when you first step in. His role is go play defense and you knock down 60% of your shots from the field. And he does that. And he doesn't have to dribble. He's like, all right, willingly, I will not dribble and be okay. I'll score 60 points off of four dribbles. It's fine. But unfortunately, when you're a role player, sometimes you need other people to make yourself great. And he does need Draymond to make himself great. He does need a Steph, at least on the floor. He doesn't have to be a good Steph. He needs Steph on the floor to be great. And I think that's the difference between Jaylen Brown and Klay Thompson, especially now after the injury. So I got to go Antonio with this one. Jaylen Brown. I honestly, these are my two favorite, like, number 2 guys in the league. So it's so hard for me to pick, but definitely Jaylen Brown, especially if I'm going into a NBA Finals.
I have to get you some tissue paper. I think this one tore you up emotionally a little bit there as well.
Man,
So
I
heard in your voice a little.
Coming down, man. You guys are asking me to choose between my firstborn children here.
Well, there's a big age discrepancy for your two firstborn children there. You got some explaining to do there, sir, as well, too. Among many other factors of some explaining you have to do there as well, too.
There was some time travel, and there was some time.
We're not getting into it. We're moving on to question number 5 with our series tied at 2 apiece now. So question number 5, who would you rather have as your X Factor type player, Marcus Smart or Draymond Green? Two guys that if you play against them, you absolutely hate them, but if they're on your team, you absolutely love them. Casey, I'm going to let you take this one first. Make your case.
Yeah, that's tough. I think those two players play a very similar role. Defensively, they're the best defensive player on the roster, and both teams don't expect a lot from them offensively, but they expect them to contribute. So I did the podcast, just came out today, and I actually had both of these guys as an X factor. Marcus Smart for the Celtics, because when he's knocking down shots, it's tough to beat that Celtic team. But the Warriors are so much better when they simply need 10 points. When they get double-digit scoring from Draymond Green, this team is tough to beat because you can't play 4-on-5. Okay, you got to go 5-on-5, and chances are whoever's going 1-on-1 is not going to be able to stop a Steph Curry, a Jordan Poole, and Andrew Wiggins. So when Draymond's knocking down shots, again, that is the huge X factor. You got to play these other guys 1-on-1, which is next to impossible to do with the likes of talent they have on that roster. And defensively, I just think he's a better defender than Marcus Smart. No disrespect. I think both guys are top tier in the NBA, but Draymond can truly, because he's 6'6", 6'7", he can guard 1 through 5. We've seen him guard Steven Adams. We've seen him go. He's going to be guarding Jason Tatum in this series. He's going to be guarding Al Horford, Robert Williams. He's going to be guarding next to everyone on that floor. And I don't think Marcus can do that at a high level. And as far as X factor goes, like I said, they simply need 10 points from Draymond, and then he is a little bit of a threat offensively. You got to play 1-on-1 then with the rest of the roster, which usually doesn't end in the favor of the opposing team. That defense with the talent on that offensive side of Golden State. So I'm going to go with Draymond Green. Also, what he does, bringing energy for his team. He is Jordan Poole is the spark plug off the bench, but Draymond Green is the motor of the Golden State Warriors. They go, as far, not Steph's their best player, obviously, but emotionally, it's Draymond Green. Sometimes he does have to dial it back, but he plays that villain role, gets into the other team's head. All those factors combined, I think Draymond's just a better player overall. I'm going to go with Draymond.
Strong case as well, too. And as long as he doesn't give you that quadruple single, he definitely does make a strong impact on the game, as long as he gets at least one double in there as well. So, Tony, I'll let you go ahead and make your case now as well.
One thing I want to say about Draymond, I love his podcast. I listen to it all the time.
Same.
It's a good listen, unlike his first go around at podcast. But I'm going Marcus Smart, and I think the difference is they're both great defenders, and they're both really good playmakers. And Draymond has a little bit of lead; he can guard the 5, but there could be times where both teams go small ball, and that just simply goes out the window, and it's just a matter of who is the better, who got lateral quickness, who has good ball skills, who is willing to take any switch possible. Obviously, they both can. Smart, the difference between Draymond and Smart is you mentioned how, if you get 10 from Draymond, that's huge. And I completely agree. I think if he scores at all, it is a plus because he is so good at everything else. If he's getting points, it's great. The difference between that is Marcus Smart is capable of going for 25. He is capable of getting he nearly had a triple-double. He nearly had 25, 12, and 9 in his first game back off the ankle. And then this closeout game, I believe he had 22 and 5, no turnovers. So he is capable of being a pretty good scorer alongside JT and JB, while doing all the things that Draymond can, probably at like a slightly lower level. But when the scoring's that much better, I'd rather have Smart. And this isn't a Derek White argument, but even if Smart's not effective, Derek White is like the same dude. I know it's not like a 2-on-1 against Draymond, but yeah, I'm just gonna take Smart just because he actually can be a threat scoring, and he hits the most timely shots I've ever. He hits the most no, yes shots ever, and I love him for that. Boston fans, they have the saying "love and trust," and it's just directly towards him because he'll make you very angry, but you just gotta trust him. Like he'll find it. Like he'll find a way to win. Yeah.
Whenever he shoots, it feels like Brett Favre back in the day. No, yeah, okay, fine, that works as well too. It's just
just like that.
You're shrugging. Yeah. Like, hey, we'll take it at this point. So, Kelsey, we got a tough battle here between two of the more. How do I want to word this? Pain in the you-know-whats in the NBA as well, too, and some of the best actors you will see out there as well, too, sell it better than anyone. So, Kelsey, which one of them sold you on their argument?
I'm pleading the fifth on this one. This one's tough.
Oh, no, you don't.
This is you guys make great arguments for both guys. I mean, Marcus Smart being kind of the better overall, all-around offensively and defensively player, and obviously not altogether, just as an overall package, he does fit that because he can score. Draymond does his best work when he's on that fine edge of absolutely being a crazy mofo and pulling it back to be like, I don't care, I'm going to shoot this three. Like when he's on the edge of I can shoot and act like a fool and not get teed up, that's the best Draymond that comes into play. The problem has been I haven't seen that Draymond, honestly, in quite a few years. Like I haven't seen that Draymond in a while. It's been a much more tame, or he flies off the handle at the stupidest times, like DeMarcus Cousins level Draymond. Right now, if I who is better, I have to give it to the defensive player of the year in this situation. I have to give it to Marcus Smart because I think at the end of the day, what he can provide for me offensively is going to outweigh what Draymond does. And with that said, I think Draymond's a future Hall of Famer. I don't take anything away from him. I think he's a high quality player. I just think that the difference is going to come down to having that third offensive ability for the Celtics team versus two guys and an assist guy offensively. Like I love having an assist guy, but really at the end of the day, he needs to be able to shoot, and he needs to shoot confidently. And I've never seen Draymond shoot a confident shot in his life. I think Draymond is like, he steps up for a wide open three, and he's like, okay, no, screw it, I'll throw it and see what happens. And for a guy who passes so well, you think he could just pass it in the net, but it doesn't work that way, I guess, for him mentally. So, yeah, give me Marcus Smart in this one. Antonio, your point about his offense and your point about his ability to hit timely shots are big reasons why. Plus, you threw out the small ball lineups, and that's really a big part of this factor because Jonathan Kuminga does play 50% of the game, and that is going to be a smaller ball lineup for the Warriors, and he can guard all five. I mean, Jonathan Kuminga does not play like a big guy, even though he should, and that really it hampers a lot of what the Warriors could do big. So give me Marcus Smart in this one, but it is, man, you guys are not making this easy. Like, I am not enjoying my job right now.
Well, that's why we made sure you had it as well too. So a 3-2 lead for Antonio and the Celtics now heading into our last couple of questions. And you know what, these last ones, they're gonna be a little bit differently shaped. The last ones we've been having, who would you rather, that sort of thing. Now we're gonna have you make the case for your case for these teams. So this first one I have is ESPN Basketball Power Index, which take that with a grain of salt. I'm just gonna start it off now. Take that with a pound of salt. They have the Celtics with an 86% chance to win, with the Warriors at 14%. Is this spot on? Is this blasphemous? Is it somewhere in between? Antonio, I'll let you lead the way. What are your thoughts on this index percentages?
Someone at ESPN is trying to write some type of narrative for Steph Curry. They're trying to make him this incredible underdog. So if the Warriors win, they'll just, the Steph Curry top 10 all time will start flowing in. That's utterly ridiculous. While obviously I do think the Celtics will win, I'm biased, so like, what does that matter to me? I think this is one of the most evenly matched up finals we've had in a while. Like, I truly do believe that. The stars are out on both sides. There is just And when one of these teams, when they have a combined 123 finals games experienced,
Yep.
I don't know if that's just players or includes Kerr or whatever, but there's just no way you look at them and think they only have a 14% chance of winning. I think that their experience alone gets them 30%, and then they have the greatest shooting backcourt of all time. They have one of the best young players in the game. They have the Dennis Rodman of our era. And then they have great role players like Jonathan Kuminga. Kevon Looney was huge last series. And Gary Payton is probably going to be back. It's blasphemy. That's terrible. As I do still think the Celtics would win. That's just a terrible job by ESPN. That's not how it should be. I think it should be more like a 55-45 type of thing. It should be close, but I still think they should go Celtics. That's just bad odds, though.
Absolutely. All right. And Casey, I'll give you a chance now. They're disrespecting your Warriors with that big percentage. Tell me explain to me your thoughts on that one as well, too, and go and give me your percentage as well. What you think it should be.
Antonio was pretty much spot on there. Given the Warriors less than 15% is less than 20% of a chance to win this series is absolutely ridiculous. And in my opinion, I think they should be favored. They're the betting favorite right now. When you're looking at the odds, they're the betting favorite right now. As you were saying, Antonio, they have over 100 games of finals experience when Boston doesn't have a single one. I think they have the best player in the series. I think they have the best defensive player in the series. I think they have more offensive weapons. When you're looking at them, they have 4 guys who can go get you 20 or 25 points on a nightly basis. Boston has 2, maybe 3 if you want to include Marcus Smart, but he is a pretty inconsistent offensive player at times. They have a head coach he's lost 2 times in the NBA Finals in 6 or 5 appearances. They've never lost in the Western Conference playoffs under Steve Kerr. At the very least, they're making it to the NBA Finals. With all that veteran experience and offensive firepower, I think it's ridiculous that it's that big of a difference. And I think it should be maybe like a 48-52, something like that. Very close odds. I think it is about a 50-50 split. But I would give the slight edge to the Golden State Warriors because of Steph Curry and all of the all the experience on that roster. I think Golden State should be favored. So I'm with you. I think that's ridiculous.
All right. Seems like we're all on the same page. The ESPN Basketball Index is off its cuckoo train. So we don't have not too much to debate there. So Kelsey, for your jury job on this one, it'll basically be, what are your thoughts on the percentages? Whose percentage do you agree with more on this one?
I think I got to go with Casey's more. And this comes down to more of you finish the season with a better record, you have the experience, and the other team does not, and the naivety of the other team. And that's really what it comes down to. And I do think, Casey, you picking a 52-48 versus a 55-45 split for the Celtics being in favor, 55-45, where the now Warriors 52-48. I think that's more accurate with what I think betting-wise. Like, I honestly think I could take this 7 games betting and honestly pick back and forth both times and get every game wrong and still end up, with a chance to pick the right winner at the end of the day. Like, I could pick every game wrong, but that's just how crazy the series is going to be. Both teams have so many dynamic pieces, but I think at the end of the day, you got to give the edge to the Warriors because of the experience and the better record at the end of the day, and the coaching. The coaching has been a big deal this year, especially when you look at the Nets and Ime Udoka in the second half. How much his coaching had led the Celtics turnaround. So you have to take coaching into account here, and the experience does lie with Steve Kerr. So I got to go 52-48, the same similar percentage, Casey, to what you have. I actually probably go 51-49 personally, but.
It's close.
It's closer. It's as close as you can get, and give the Warriors credit on this one. So I'm giving Casey this one as well. So, but yeah, this one just comes down to experience.
And in a fitting way for what should be a wonderful series and what's been a wonderful show so far, we got ourselves a tie 3-3 split here going.
And it wasn't easy.
And Kelsey's gonna probably need a drink after this one as well too. Trying to pick through here. But this last one's gonna be really easy, and this one's just our nice little written essay, if you will. We're gonna have you pick who's going to win the finals, how many games, and give me your MVP. Go ahead and break down what your prediction will be for us. Okay, so I'll let you lead the way on this one. Go and break it down for us.
Yeah, I got the Warriors in 6 games. Okay, I got the Warriors in 6. Like I was saying, I think they do have the best player in the series in Steph Curry. He's a top 15, top 13 player of all time, best three-point shooter we've ever seen. As Antonio was saying, it's the best shooting backcourt in NBA history. I think they have the best defensive player in the series in Draymond Green. He's got a chip on his shoulder after not making first team All NBA defense. So I think he's going to come out with some intensity, with some purpose. Steve Kerr, patented coach, a guy who's been here, done that. They've never lost in the Western Conference, like I said. It's finals or bust for this team, basically under Steve Kerr. And when you're looking at all the concerns that I have. So I have concerns for both teams. For Golden State, it's because Boston is so long, they're so big, their length and their size is a big concern for the Warriors, and they switch everything defensively, which the way the Warriors like to play, they're kind of counting on two guys going on Steph to make that pass to Draymond for a guy to kind of come over while he's driving to the hoop, then a kick out three to a wide open shooter usually, right? So playing, the way they switch defensively, they're not going to do a lot of blitzing, a lot of double teaming and stuff. They're simply going to switch it because 1 through 5 are going to be able to guard that position. So those are my concerns for the Warriors. But I also have some concerns for Boston. Like, hey, you guys have already gone through so much. You've had 2 7-game series, one with the reigning champs and the best player in the world, one against Miami, which in my opinion, they had no business going 7 games with the Miami Heat with all that they were getting. It was a one-man show out there with Jimmy Butler. Tyler Hero barely played in the series. Kyle Lowry wasn't great and barely played. And Bam Adebayo was basically a no-show offensively, right? So I think they should have won that series in 6, and they nearly lost it in Game 7. It was a 2-point game with, 20 seconds left. Jimmy Butler hits that 3. We might be having a completely different conversation right now. And talking back to that Bucks series, if Chris Middleton is healthy, I honestly think Milwaukee gets past this team. So when you're taking everything into consideration, it's a young team that's never been here before. Smart and Williams have been banged up this entire playoff run. And then an older player like Al Horford, who wasn't great, closing out Miami, how much is left in the tank for a guy like that? That's my concern. He's played 2 7-game series. He's 34, 35 years old. How much is left in the tank? It's a young team. They haven't been phenomenal in crunch time. I'm going to go the Warriors in 6. I have more concerns for Boston than I do than Golden State.
Interesting. All right, a very strong case for the Warriors as well too. And Tony, I'll let you go and give us your prediction.
Who's his MVP? Hold on, who is his MVP?
Steph Curry gets his first ever Finals MVP. Let's make that clear. He's going to be the best player in the court, and he's going to show out with a chip on his shoulder. Guy, he should have got it in 2015, but that's neither here nor there. Steph Curry gets the MVP.
All right, so we got Steph breaking through. So, Antonio, I'll let you go and make the case. Who's going to win, how many games, and who's the MVP for you?
I got the Boston Celtics winning in 7 games. That's not many people are going to go into Steph Curry's place, beat him in that 7th game or in general. But it takes like a high level guy. It takes one of the 5 best players on the planet to do so. Jason Tatum is not one of the 5 best players in my eyes. 1, because I just think there's 5 better players, and 2, if I were to say that, they're like, oh, you're just you're biased, obviously. Jason Tatum, I think, is about to show the world he's one of the 5 best players on the planet. I think he's going to go absolutely crazy. Draymond will be a problem with him. If he has to take Draymond ISO, it can be a problem. Tatum loves calling for a switch, and I'm going to be honest. The only other person who could worry me is either Andrew Wiggins or Gary Payton Jr., depending on how much he plays. Both guys are very great with great ball handlers. But one's guard Tatum, who's going to, Jaylen Brown could also go off for us. Our individual defensive talent will work in many rotations. I think Derek White is going to be huge in those small ball minutes, like he was in Miami ever since he had his firstborn son, Hendricks. Kind of like Fred VanVleet a while back. He's just been a completely different player. I think Boston and I think you mentioned this segment or last segment, that Golden State has 3 or 4 guys who can go get you 20, 25 points. Boston is guaranteed to have 2 guys go for at least 20, like 23 points. And a 3rd guy will always step up. And that's just how it's been. Grant Williams had a big game. Al Horford had 30 at one point. Smart's usually the guy to step up, but Derek White can step up. As long as guys keep hitting their shots, they're making plays for each other. They'll continue to extend the series. I am worried about their clutch time minutes. So they're going to have to blow Steph Curry out to the point where there is no amount of historic shooting that can get him back in the game. way easier said than done. Ime Udoka with obviously no finals experience. This is his first run. I think he is outcoached every coach he's played against so far. Despite his players, honestly, the Miami series should have been over in 5. The Bucks series should have been over in 5 or 6. The Bucks series, the Celtics outplayed them in 6 of the 7 games. It's a matter of not blowing leads. Now that's going to be tough. If you get a lead on Golden State, you just got to keep churning ahead. There's no taking your foot off the gas. This is going to easily be the hardest, no matter what happens for the rest of Tatum, Brown, Smart's career, this is going to be the hardest thing they've ever done. You're playing a hungry Warriors team. It's been a while. It's going to be fun. I got Celtics in 7. The individual talent on defense, the individual talent on offense. It's going to be a show. Jason Tatum is my finals MVP. I guess since you said it's an essay, I'm going to go for bonus points and say my dark horse MVP could be Marcus Smart in an Iguodala type of way, that if he holds Steph Curry to slightly under his averages, if he holds Steph Curry to a human performance, the voters might look at it very strange, but I think I'll boldly put my bank account on Jason Tatum if the Celtics win.
All right,
Casey, I just want to give you a chance. Dark horse MVP for the Warriors, Casey.
Well, since he went defensively, I'll go Andrew Wiggins. If he's able to throw Jason Tatum off of his game and put up 20 points, 25 points, or they're average around 20 in the series in an Iguodala-esque way, I wouldn't love it. But I think Andrew Wiggins could be a dark horse here.
All right, I like it. He gets the vaccine and suddenly turns into the best player of his entire career. How that worked out as well too. So Kelsey, you got yourself a job here. Go ahead and break the tie.
Yeah, man.
You know what? Honestly, so I actually took notes on what you guys are saying, because this is gonna come down. And if you guys want to know how many notes I took, this is a whole page worth of notes already that you guys just talked about. I have little arrows pointing up and down on things I agree with, things I don't agree with. I just want to go through a couple of them. You mentioned Ime Udoka, Antonio. I think that's a huge aspect, is what he's been able to do out coaching teams. And then on the flip side of things, Casey, you mentioned that Al Horford might be the guy that you think is going to be detrimental to the Celtics. And I think this is his legacy on the line. I think Al Horford's legacy is on the line here. If he wins this, he goes into the Hall of Fame. He loses this, we might not see him in the Hall of Fame. And that might be a legacy thing in the back of his head that plays into it. But on the opposite side of things, you did talk about Steve Kerr and his greatness in these finals, and that is a huge plus as well. And then the big negative for the Celtics is those blown leads they've proven in these playoffs. It's a huge negative. Honestly, that's the actual – I gave that a double down, because I was like, that is a huge negative that you cannot overlook, and that is the difference between these two. It honestly ends up that one negative over everything else you guys talked about. I wholeheartedly agree. I also like the Celtics in 7 pick, but I actually have the Warriors in 7 is where my mind goes. I love the 7 games. You got the positive for the 7 games. You got the negative for the Celtics. Casey, you got the positive for the Warriors, the negative for the 6 games. So it really did come down to one thing, and that is just at the end of the day, Antonio, you hit the nail on the head. They have to worry about their youth blowing leads, and that's the difference between this debate. Really comes down to that. I got to give it to Casey in this one by the narrowest of margins, guys. But this has been honestly the toughest grade. I literally just had to pull out my grading notebook to get this one going, and this was you guys obviously provided a lot of fantastic facts for us and made my job a living hell. So I don't enjoy it, but this was a fantastic time.
Awesome. That it was, and that's why we had you doing that job, so I didn't have to do it as well too. So thank you guys so much for joining us as well too. For those of you can find Antonio Perez, host at Sideline Summit, Celtics beat writer for Belly Up Sports, and Casey with the @dudestalking_pod, as well as contributor for Blue Man Hoop. Those were at their Twitter @ as well too. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait for this series. If I wasn't hyped before, you guys got me basically on the edge of my seat. That's almost falling out from behind me. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you for joining us today.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of fun. I say it's gonna be it's gonna be a fun series. I can't wait until I'm shaking at 8:55 before kickoff tomorrow and I can't breathe. But
I'll rephrase that. It's gonna be fun for us neutral ones here as well too. If we were fans of this team, we'd be the same way, biting the nails and sweating and everything like that as well too. So it should be an absolute blast of the series. And Kelsey, do you need a drink? Are you feeling okay after this? I mean, did we just kind of
Oh,
rule out your teaching duties?
My bottles are ready to go. I've already cracked them open. The pill has been burst on both of these.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. This has been a fantastic episode, and we will see you guys next week.